Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the November 2025 meeting of the Madison Historic District Board of Review. Could we have a roll call vote, please, Brenna?
Bill Joel.
Present.
Happy Smith. Present. Chris Cody.
Present.
Ken McWilliams.
Present.
Ryan Rogers.
Present.
Jared Anderson.
Present.
Jed Skelman.
Present.
Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last month's meeting? Is there any changes, any additions, any subtractions, anything?
I move we approve the minutes as submitted.
Do we hear a second?
I second that.
All in favor?
No,
Well,
vote.
we can
I'm
do
sorry.
that. The others do
Roll call.
that. We can't.
Bill Joel.
I approve.
Happy Smith.
Approve.
Chris Cody.
Approve.
Ken McWilliams.
Approve.
Ryan Rogers.
Approve.
Jared Anderson.
Approve.
Jed Skelman.
Approve.
All right, we'll conduct the meeting tonight by having either the homeowner or their representative, or both of them, come up to the podium, adjust the mic to where we can hear you, and say your name and where you live. Brenna will then review the project that's been presented to the city. You, as the homeowner, will then have a chance to elaborate on, expand on, whatever you'd like. Board members will then have a chance to ask questions of you. At that point, we will have what is called findings of facts, where one of our board members will relate if we feel the project meets the guidelines. So, and at that point, we will vote on it, and so it looks like we're about ready to go. All right, let's get started. We have two applications here that we will not be considering tonight. We are going to table them. We need a vote for them, and it's the 123 Jefferson Street and 1229 West Main.
Mr. Chair, I move we table the project at 123 Jefferson and the project at 1229 West Main Street.
Do we hear a second?
I second.
Vote.
Bill Joel.
I approve.
Happy Smith.
Approve.
Chris Cody.
Approve.
Ken McWilliams.
Approve.
Ryan Rogers.
Approve.
Jared Anderson.
Approve.
Jed Skelman.
Approve.
We have one application that has been withdrawn. Orban Ashes has been withdrawn, so we will not be doing anything with that one tonight. So it looks to me like our first case will be Annette Foltz at, on Mill Street. Are you here, Annette? Is there anybody here for Mill Street? Anyone?
We will come back to that.
Let's come back to that one later on, possibly she's late. Looks to me like the next one is probably Gary Taylor, 205 St. Michael's.
Want to come up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Gary Taylor, I live in Trimble County, and I purchased a lot on St. Michael's, and I'd like to build a new home.
Okay. Donna, could you go over the project, please?
Yes, so currently this is a empty lot, it's not contributing, zoned historic district residential, and the request is to build a new house on the lot. And we have some pictures.
Do you want me to comment on anything?
Actually, Brenda, do you have, excuse me, Brenda, do you have the drawing you had in your email this morning?
The most up-to-date version of that is this, so this is the same as the drawing you guys have, it just is clean.
It's not the one in your email this morning. You had a very up-to-date one that showed the garage moved back.
That's what this is.
Yes.
Do you have the elevations?
Okay.
It's just turned sideways from what was sent this morning.
Okay.
Well, I know that, first of all, welcome to Madison. I live right up the street, St. Michael's and Second, so I look forward to having you in the neighborhood.
Well, thank you very
And
much.
I know that you've worked very hard with city staff to massage this and make sure it complies with the guidelines. And I just want to say I really appreciate all the effort that you put into that.
Well, thank you for Brenna and Tony to kind of give me some guidance and stuff. This was our second home. We started out in the first one, and I just couldn't move the garage back anymore because it would mess up the floor plan. So we looked at another one, and this one's going to set back quite a bit from the front porch, and the front porch is going to be even with the other neighbors. So,
Appreciate that.
Anyone else? Comments,
Well, I
questions? Jed?
Jed.
why the front loader, you have a alley behind the house, why is the garage, front loaded instead of rear loaded?
Well, the previous house that was there,
Yeah.
it did have a drive from St. Michael's. And, if I used the alley, it would be a really tight swing coming in the garage, and I just couldn't find a floor plan to make that work. And I believe the city only owns part of that alley, and I believe Mr. Campbell owns the middle section. And I know I have a right of way, but it would still interfere with, the back neighbors pulling out also into the alley.
Uh-huh.
So I just took it for, I met with, Brian and the city water when I first purchased the lot. And, just to make sure everything was good on that, to come with the driveway off of St. Michael's. So
Okay.
it would be a better approach for me coming off St. Michael's than it would coming out of the alley or leaving the alley.
Anyone else?
Back up to the garage doors and the door. So that manufacturer's doing stamped steel and then stained to give the wood tone?
These are just pictures I got from previous homeowners in the downtown district. And it's gonna be based on that. The garage door will have windows at the top. And there will only be one panel on the front door.
Okay. But your intent is to do a stained product, you'd listed steel.
Well,
There's only a few manufacturers.
there is a stainable steel door.
Right.
I have one now in my house now, but, it's gonna be like a brown color
Okay,
on the garage and the front door. It will match.
okay,
Both of them will match.
okay. And the windows, you'd have vinyl or black aluminum, as you thought about?
Well, at first I said I'd like to have vinyl, but, speaking with Tony showed me some of his windows in his houses, and the aluminum with black on the inside and outside will suit me just fine.
Okay. So it's an aluminum, you're gonna go with?
Aluminum, yes.
Okay. And then the siding, you're doing the LP Smart siding, and the
Yeah.
trim and rakes and fascia and all
Yes.
that's gonna be
Yes.
LP Smart siding.
We don't know what color yet. It's okay, I don't know exactly what color I need.
We don't care about color.
Okay.
The thing is, we don't care, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
all right.
It's actually written in the ordinance, we
Okay.
can isolate colors.
Yeah, it's gonna be LP Smart.
You got here that the foundation's not gonna be visible, but you will have like an 8-inch strip at the bottom that.
Yeah, I talked to some contractors. I haven't got a definite contractor yet, but I've been given, I gave him some quotes on the last house, and I think I just rushed into it too soon. But, yeah, it will have a showing of some block, but not much. I want to just see how deep the foundation's gonna be and how much, landscaping they're gonna be on that.
Well, it will be a minimal amount because the lot's fairly flat,
Yeah,
but I would ask you to consider maybe having that covered in stone or something like that. They actually have a stone that you can apply directly to the block.
if the block is showing, is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
just, and more across the front than anything, to try to give it that
Okay.
historical appearance. I did a lot of reading about new construction and historic districts and things of that nature. And what I found is it's more about the spirit, are you trying to use similar materials and make it have the feel of a richer home like a historic house would have?
Well, I thought about it a long time, and, this house is not gonna be a sore thumb. It's gonna be a nice home, and I'll take care of it just like I have, all my houses I've lived in Trumbull County all my life, so,
Yeah.
yeah. When I worked over here in Madison, back from 76 to 88, I worked at the tack factory. And when I traveled the roads back then, I wish I could have bought some of them houses on Central Avenue or something like that back then. Where the black warehouse is there and stuff, so I feel like I'm a longtime resident, but I've never lived over here. So, just traveling roads back and forth, I see Madison's improved a whole bunch since then.
brought me back here from Washington DC, so, you know, it's a lot different than it was in the eighties. But I mentioned I'd done quite a bit of research because of it being a new house, and we've had questions come up before on new houses, so I took a little deeper dive this time. I want to read you a couple of things that I found in the ordinance and the guidelines. As far as the ordinance is concerned, it has a section for historic review. And one of the statements that stood out to me says, it's not the intent of this chapter to discourage new construction or other development, nor to limit to any one period of architectural style, but to preserve the integrity of the historic building and ensure the compatibility of new work constructed in the historic district. That was kind of enlightening to me because it specifically says it's only appropriate for today's construction, not historic reproduction. I also found in the guidelines historic architectural styles of Madison under ranch in chapter 2. The ranch style originated in California in the 1930s and was prominent design for housing after World War II. The typical ranch house is rectangular plan. The roofs may be hipped or gabled, low pitch. The ranch style often incorporates architecture and attached garage or carport under the roof house. Backyards with patios and decks were preferred more than front porches or social spaces, and facade porches were minimized or eliminated altogether. The ranch facade typically retains a front entrance, but residents often use the side entrance from the garage. Large picture windows, sliding glass doors provide views and outdoor with an open floor plan. Only a few of these designs were built in Madison District. But as I thought about this is something we've been dealing with since, World War II, is how do you incorporate new construction into an old historic neighborhood? And this chapter to me says you have to look at what's going on today and realize that that's the new history. So I think when we're looking at these projects, we have to consider that we're not trying to match a historic house, we're trying to build a new construction that harmonizes with the historic district. Also in chapter 6, I found by reflecting the period in which it was built, a new building or addition becomes part of the continuity of the building design, style, and technology that demonstrates the ongoing growth of the town and the historic district. New construction guidelines are not aimed to prevent change or detracting a particular architectural style or an exact historic duplication. Rather, the guidelines aim to ensure that new buildings and additions achieve complementary with existing buildings that define the character of the Madison Historic District. So I thought that was interesting. It was just good information for our consideration. There's been infill building for many, many years. We're just adding more to the history.
I just understand that, you gotta make an example out of this new home if you all approve it, if another new home comes in. So I understand what you're coming up with. So I appreciate y'all's time.
What are the dimensions of your garage?
It is 20,
It had it on the drawing, but it was very little.
I cannot read it without my spectacles. I
I
asked
think it
Leslie.
was 26 by 20.
Mr. Taylor?
Well, I got a helper here. She
It's
can-
26 with 18 foot door.
26.
23 by 26.
Yes, 23
23 by 26, so across the front it's 26.
Yes.
That's the front dimension.
Yes.
So then that's gonna be a little bit bigger, a footprint, right, than the front door portion, right? I think if I was reading it right, that was 20 feet. So 20 feet is the house and the door, and then 26 feet maybe with the walls and stuff is the garage portion. So, I drove all around the neighborhood. I actually live right around the corner on Walnut Street, so welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
I drove all around the neighborhood, and there really aren't any garages, incorporated in houses like this. This really is a modern design, kind of going into historic neighborhood. So that is a little bit of a struggle for us with the guidelines. The guidelines really like garages to be placed at the rear of homes, and that's what, most of Madison has. There's a few garages because there's corner houses, so a garage would be on one of those two streets if you have a corner house. I did see on GIS your unusual situation with your alley, the alley portion right behind you being owned by the neighbor behind you, as you've already commented on. So I can see that that really makes a entrance into a rear garage a real toughie. I personally really don't wanna see a whole lot of houses with garages that kinda look like, beautiful houses, but it looks like we're now up on top of the hill. So I would hope that, we'll have just a few and they'll blend in and they'll become part of the neighborhood and we'll just, love them after a while, just like everything else. But, so I do think with your unusual alley situation, that even though our guidelines ask that garages go to the back, I think this is a place for possible exception.
Thank you.
I'd like to add to that, part of my review, I didn't actually go look at your lot, but I drove down First and Second Street, and I chose those two streets because they're the closest to the river. And what I found is 29 examples on First and Second Street alone with similar front facades facing garages showing the evolving character without any harm consistent with the application. I didn't write that really well, but basically I found historical houses, I found infill houses, I found remodeled houses, and that was 29 examples on 2 streets. So it's become part of the fabric of the neighborhood to have these type of construction.
Anyone else? Anyone else from the board? Is there anyone from the general public that would like to comment on this application? If so, please come up now. Anyone else?
I just want to,
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
good evening, I should say. Thank you guys so much, and I want to thank Gary for making an investment in downtown. Infill and redevelopment's an important part of our comprehensive plan and also a growing community. I totally agree with what you're saying here tonight, that there needs to be a rhythm and a harmony. I appreciate Gary's work with staff along the way to get there, and grateful for the investments. You're very welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have we had any written communication to the city, Brenna, on this one? No?
Brenna, I will say, I just got a message that supposedly the YouTube isn't recording. There's no sound, and it's stuck on a frame. I just wanted to let you know,
Thank you.
just to,
Let's pause just a moment.
Sorry, guys.
You're next.
It says it's recording and it's streaming. Okay, hold on. I'll check back in.
sorry, I just wanna make
No,
sure
thank
we're
you for catching that.
being kosher.
Can somebody try to call him?
Somebody
Yes.
try to log in, she says, if you see it.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. You hear?
No.
No?
The last one showing up is October 27th, is that y'all's husband? It's not on here.
I guess we're just gonna keep going, the camera will hopefully catch up. I'm not gonna be on this. And we'll just upload it later.
Alrighty, let's keep going then.
Lisa Ferguson, 718 East Second Street. Just a few things, like, I'm like happy, I live right over in that neighborhood. Ryan's house is right behind us, probably one of the most historic, homes in the Scotts Garden, East End area, and you have a garage, right, that's facing you, pull straight into, that's right behind, where we live. And, most of you don't know Freddie Shumdessel, but his is on the corner of Baltimore and Second, and it looks very much like this. You know, he has a garage on the front, two-car garage, you pull in, and a separation there, so it's not a lot different from those two that just stand out my head just sitting here, so just doesn't bother me as a neighbor.
Lisa, thank you for your input. You think you have it running? Well, your roots back here. All right, has the city received any kind of,
No.
written communication? In that case, Ryan, do you think you could do findings of facts for us on this?
Sure.
Please, sir.
So when I was reviewing this, I found a couple of guidelines that do specifically address this particular property or this particular application. One's 23.1, maintain a similar front, side, rear yard setback to other historic buildings on the block or side of street. And what I found is that it's very similar to the house next to it, and Shotgun would be in a similar scale as far as height, so I think it'll harmonize well with that particular street. Make 23.2, maintain the pattern of building separation and lot coverage that is found on the block or on the side of the street. Again, I think it meets that guideline fine. 23.25, new construction should have height consistent with neighboring dwellings along the block. It's one story again. The gable actually helps to tie it into the other two buildings as well. Attached garages, 24.2, I found. Attached garages, accessory building should be set back from the front facade of the primary dwelling, at least 1/3 of the total depth of the dwelling. There's about 8 to 9 feet of projection with the porch and the bump out in the living room area. I believe it's the living room in front of it. The word should, a lot of times when I'm reading these guidelines, I try to see how strong the language they're using. And that word should seems to me that it is a spirit of the guidelines as opposed to a hard and fast rule. So I believe it complies with that as well. 24.8, if the garage or garage door are highly visible from the public street or located on a corner lot, solid wood or wood garage doors with panel designs are more appropriate. I think this steel door representation that he gave us and the entry door meet these guidelines as well. So I believe it's conform.
How do other people feel? Chris?
I also feel that it meets the guidelines, and again, I want to reiterate my appreciation for your hard work with staff, and I also want to thank staff for working with the applicant, and again, thank you very much for your investment. I look forward to being your neighbor. Thank you for filling this empty gap in our streetscape, and welcome to Madison.
Thank you.
Jen?
I think more work could have been done to address the problem of the front-loaded garage. I really don't like it. I'm tempted to say I'll vote no, just to make sure there's a no vote on the record to show that. But, Mr. I can't read it, I took my glasses off. Taylor, you seem like you'd be a great addition to Madison.
Well, thank you.
So, in that respect, the architecture didn't sell the thing, but your personal appearance here and your demeanor at the podium, you'll be an addition to town, so I'll
Thank
say
you.
yes.
Ken?
I agree with Ryan, same reasons.
Jared?
Yes, I agree with Ryan, it, meets the guidelines.
Ryan agrees, happy?
Agree also.
Do we have a motion? Jared?
I would make the motion. Would you like?
Based upon the preceding findings of fact, I move the Madison Historic District Board of Review grant a certificate of appropriateness to Mr. Taylor for his project on St. Michael's. but I'm gonna reference that the architecture drawing from 11/21/25 is the most up-to-date, and that shows that Mr. Taylor has moved the garage back from the street.
I second the motion.
Do we have a vote?
Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approved.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Jim McWilliams,
Approved.
Ryan Rogers,
Approved.
Jared Anderson,
Approved.
Jed Scully.
Approve.
You have been approved. You can take your paperwork up to the city and start as soon as you have building permits in force.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back. Is Annette from 421 Mill Street here yet? No? Okay, let's keep going then. It looks to me like we're in John Shearing at 1063 West Main. Hello, John.
Hello.
I'm John Sherry, 1063 West Main Street. I'm here to discuss the changing of the windows that I requested.
Looks like we're gonna go ahead and
Yeah, the
review
paperwork.
the project
Yes.
if you could.
You have copies of this property, I think, in front of you.
So, just real quick, this is a contributing structure built in 1860. The windows that he is proposing to replace are not original. They are wood, but they are not original. And, it is zoned, residential unit density R8.
If you look at the pictures with the white siding, that vinyl siding is currently on the house. We are in the process of working to get that vinyl siding removed and replace that with LP siding. But the windows were submitted for a separate approval, and the ones that you see on the white, with the white siding there, have been replaced. They're not original to the house. A portion of the house on the east side and south side still have some 4/4 windows that I think were original and are original to the house. I had originally asked to replace all those single pane glass windows with insulated glass windows, and wanted to replicate that appearance to be 4/4 with new insulated windows. Having heard that you folks are not receptive to that change, I would like to revisit this topic with you folks, and if at the very least, see if I couldn't replace the 1/1 sashes in the front that you see on the white. There are 5 of those windows, and those are the ones that have been replaced. When I was asked during the submittal process when those windows had been replaced, I guessed at that because I've only owned the house for something a little over 20 years, and I know they were replaced prior to that. I think I said maybe 1960, which kind of put me into a situation where if they're over 50 years old, they're still considered historic. These windows are similar to what you can buy today up on the hilltop through Lowe's and Bender. They're not a vintage style trim or anything like that. They are single pane, so we lose a lot of heat through there, and it's difficult to heat and cool that area with those windows. Now, I do recognize that some of the windows you can't see that are still 4/4 that are original. I recognize the importance of keeping those if that's an issue with you folks, but I would like to, at the very least, change out the windows that you see on the white siding, which are those single pane, single light 1/1 double hung windows, and I will intend, if I get approval to do that, to put back windows with 4/4 sashes or crosses in there to replicate the appearance of what I believe the house originally looked like. Now, there are currently storm windows on every one of those windows. I don't know if there's an importance in keeping the storm windows or not, because if you look at the picture with the yellow house, that's a house that I did just a few years ago that the Historic Board of Review approved for that particular house that's right down the street from this one on Madison Street. I can replicate, I can keep the window, the new window, if I'm approved to do these on the single sash windows. I can, put the, storm windows back or leave them off, depending on what is more appropriate, as far as you folks are concerned. That's the reason I'm here tonight, to see if we can get you to rethink replacing those windows in a manner that I'd like to do. And again, it's important to me to maintain an appearance of something that contributes to the type of structures the house had originally, been built to show, and I'm trying to keep that appearance, and restore some of that. One reason, with the vinyl siding being removed, that's my goal. I want the property to look good too, but I also want to be energy efficient, and that's the goal for these, changing out the windows.
Mr. Sherry?
Yes, sir.
What windows have you spec to replace? What brand? What-
I haven't purchased any windows.
No, but have you sourced out and chosen one?
Not specifically. My contractor gave me a quote for some windows, but where it came from, I'm not sure. I think he got his prices from Bender, or maybe there was a place up in Seymour, Columbus, but I'm not sure where those are from. Of course, we figured all the windows when I first started the process, and then, when I found out that I wasn't gonna be able to prove to change all the windows, we're gonna back off from a total of what was originally 9 windows down to these 5 that are on this, on the front, on the siding, the white siding there. If, so,
Mr. Chair, I think the motion should include that Brennan needs to know what the brand part numbers that he finally settles on before final approval's out.
and I'm glad to submit drawings from those windows once we identify what, if something may be permitted tonight, I'll be glad to submit drawings, showing what I intend to do before I purchase anything.
No, I appreciate everything you've said so far this evening, so
Okay.
you're doing well.
And, essentially, that's why I'm here tonight.
Anybody else?
Do
You
we
know
care
what's-
that they're 4/4s, or just replace the 1/1s with 1/1s?
I imagine the original windows were 4/4.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, are we on to board conversation? I think I heard Happy trying to say something too, that was perhaps a question.
Yeah, everyone's mic's lit up.
Happy, why don't you go ahead?
Do you know what's under your siding?
There's old wood siding, and then, there's the studs with insulation.
And is there framing around the windows? Is there casing around them?
I believe there is,
This
on
kind
these windows, yes. I don't know about the old ones, I haven't researched the original that I think original 4/4. But the ones up front, the one I want to replace, they came with a casing around the sashes.
That's a really nice thing in a lot of Madison houses is the framing around windows. I do really think your picture here is a big improvement because your storm windows obscure your 1/1s. I have 1/1s in my house, pre-1970 1/1s are supposed to be much better windows than later 1980s, 1990s windows. They're still
And I
worse
think
antenna and they're still better wood. They are high quality windows. I do understand and I live with it also.
well, I
the
think I
same
mentioned
thing.
that they were
Issues.
replaced in the 60s, but I'm not sure about that. It could have been as recently as 2000.
Sure. But if they were pre-1970, they are really good windows.
Well, they sure leak a lot of air around there.
You know, my
And we
windows.
painted and caulked and painted and caulked, and of
Yeah,
course, the
so,
storm
yeah.
windows help, but I think with the appearance without the storm windows, I think lends itself to being more historically appropriate than having aluminum storm windows on there,
So your intent is to take off the siding
No,
eventually,
That's not within the scope of the application.
Not
Happy,
but that's a separate.
happy, it's not on the application, just windows today.
Right, true, but I guess I'm wondering how things will be married, when you get there. And I guess you're probably gonna go for a look like this look here.
Yes, that's right. Which is original, what I've been able to determine, the wooden siding was underneath the vinyl siding was essentially 4 1/4 or left 4 inches or so, something like that.
Appreciate the better reveal that you have in this picture. The casing that's around the windows is a really nice, architectural feature of the older houses.
It could
It's
be
nice.
maintained, if that's an issue with you folks, I probably could maintain, you're talking about the exterior casing around the windows?
Yes,
That's probably something we can maintain or at least replicate, with a product similar to the, LP siding. Because they're wood now, and I don't mind leaving them the way they are if that helps you accept what I'm proposing a little easier.
and, the staff has told us that these windows are in pretty good shape, these one-over ones. And the staff recommendation was to ask you to keep the one-over ones because they are older windows, maybe not original, but they're older historic windows.
And they may not be 50 years old, again, I was guessing it when I thought they were installed, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
But
very
I
much.
think you can buy new ones exactly like these today.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So the windows are not deteriorated?
They have some surface damage, they're not unrepairable, I mean, they could be repaired, but some of them have rot in the corner a little bit, and, they just don't fit tight in the, guides where the sashes slide up and down. If they're going to continue to function, I guess I could seal them up where they wouldn't open at all, but we like to have windows that we can open with, let the screen, let the fresh air come through if we can, so with that in mind, they're not as efficient, I don't believe, as they once were. But even so, with the single pane, the heat and cool transfers pretty quickly through them.
Well, and not to mention, for safety purposes, we obviously want you to be able to open your windows.
Sure, to get out,
So,
yeah.
Everybody on this board has had everybody on this board has had experience rehabbing old houses. And, so we had a house with rattly windows in it, single pane, or, you know, was 3/1, but they were from the 1920s.
Uh-huh.
And on a windy day, the curtains would blow and all that.
That sounds familiar.
My solving of the problem to keep the wind, this actually, this little story short story, has a punchline. So, took the windows, all the windows in this house apart, put felt liners on them, on the inside, put them back together, tightened in the stops, and you could open it up with one hand, closing the new ropes, everything was perfect, and they didn't leak. And then we put storms on the outside, we were really happy with it. We lived in the house for another 5 years after I finished that project. Next person bought the house, tore out the windows, and put vinyl windows in. So, that's what happened. But we, in a historic, there was no historic, district where we lived at that time. You might wanna look at that, it's, take the windows out, put felt liners on the, around them, and you can stretch the felt to make it, either as thick or as thin as you want, and see what happens with it. If you wanna retain windows, there is, you can, there are efforts you can make just to improve them. You don't have to sit with windows flapping in the breeze.
Well, I'll have to hire somebody to do that, and I don't know how the cost shakes out, but that's interesting correction that you mentioned.
Anybody else?
so I think we need to get back to the heart of the application. So you have how many 4/4 windows in the house currently? 2?
There are 4.
4, okay. Would you be willing to go back to 4/4?
Yeah.
Take those out and put in 4/4?
Take the single panes out and put
Correct.
4, yes,
Okay.
not necessarily, 4 individual panes, but
Right.
they will look like the ones in this
Yes, sir.
yellow. Yes, that's what I intend to do.
Yes.
So
I-
replicate that
I
appearance.
think that's what we as the board need to be discussing, not
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah, I want it to look like I want them to look like they did when it was built.
Yes, very much appreciated. That project looks fantastic, and if that's what you can do, I can't wait to see what you do for your new house, so.
Well, I appreciate it, thank you very much.
Anybody else like to comment?
I will ask about the monkey bar then, if that's the way that some are leaning. Would you be doing the simulated divided light or rub between the glass? Or do you know the difference?
Simulated.
Okay,
They
so
won't be,
they have to roll on.
yeah, they just snap in. That's what these are on the yellow siding, the same way.
So there's snap-ins from the inside only.
I can't remember. And if there are two different kinds, if you have a preference, I don't mind to lean towards acquiring the ones that suit you better, if there's a difference, but I can't remember how these go in the yellow house, I think they pop out from the inside.
Okay. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to windows and siding, and the reason is there's so many properties downtown that are considered non-contributing at this point because they've had aluminum windows or vinyl windows put in, and then
Well, I wanna use a wood window, and these are vinyl clad wood windows, but I wanna use 100% wood window, and if I need to use solid wood from front to back and paint the outside, I'm not opposed to doing that if that's the only way it would be approved, but vinyl or aluminum clad is what I prefer for low maintenance, exterior maintenance.
there's some very good windows out there that have a wood exterior. And I think in this case, especially with it being on Main Street, for me personally, if you said you were gonna put wood windows in the front of the house and even did aluminum clad on the sides and the back, that would be very appealing to me with the simulator.
If that's the only way it can be approved, I'm not opposed to that.
The board does, everybody has to interpret the guidelines as they see it.
I understand.
And sometimes even a negative vote is not a representation of not support for your project, it's just everybody has different priorities.
I understand, and I just felt like it was important for me to be here tonight to voice my concerns and reasons and be able to speak to questions you might have about what I may or may not be able to do.
Okay.
So you have a good project here and you're doing good things on your house, but I think a lot of people in the historic district kind of sometimes lose sight. We're not a historic district because we look historic, we're a historic district because we have real historic fabric on our houses. Real 200-year-old wood, real 200-year-old windows or 50-year-old windows. And if everything got replaced, which you have noble reasons for wanting to replace your stuff,
Other
But if
than the
everything-
vinyl siding.
other than the windows, but if everything got replaced, we wouldn't have a historic district anymore. That's not to say that sometimes a replacement is needed, and you're suggesting good replacements here. But it's just, we're trying, if we can, if it can be done, to keep the real historic stuff, which is why we're a historic district, just so people understand why there's a pushback from this board up here. It's not because we're trying to be unreasonable,
I understand.
trying to go with the guidelines.
And the little yellow house down the street that I referenced that picture on, I don't know if you've looked at that, but that was one project that we went through from top to bottom, literally, foundation and everything a few years ago. And I tried to maintain the logic that you described, we did that. And it's got some of the old siding we were able to salvage and put back up there. And the front, we didn't take any of that off, we scraped and painted all the front. But in the areas where the old siding was bad enough that we couldn't reuse it, we used hardy board, or that concrete board, and tried to match it up. And I challenge you to drive down through there and see where the differences are, because I'm very pleased with the way that worked out. But I took pride in that, and I want to take pride in this project too, and make it look like it looked when it was built as good as I could. Now, it might not be the same color, but I've got a wife that's gonna take care of that part.
Thank you so much for saving that historic wood on that other house. Thank you so very much for that.
Anybody else from the board? Is there anyone from the general public that would like to speak to this motion? Have we received any communications to the city? Ken, you think you could do findings of fact for us, please?
Mr. Chair, I think Mr. Schuler's project at 1063 West Main meets the guidelines, especially appreciating replacing wood windows with wood and 404.
Do you hear a second?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to second. I'd also like to point out that we didn't get the opportunity for board discussion. I didn't have a direct question for the applicant, but rather I wanted to weigh in the conversation the board was having. Honestly, it's moot though, because I was going to, thank the applicant for the investment and for doing right by this house. And just to point out the fact that when you think about the concept of the integrity of a historic home, what really matters are the original features. And we have 4 original windows here, and we have 5 that are not original and not historic. And so to me, from a concept of preserving the house's historic integrity, whatever the applicant decides to do, whether it's 4/4s or 1/1s, both respect the integrity and current historic context. So I would encourage the subsequent motion to give the applicant the discretion with staff review whether to go 4/4s or 1/1s, because again, in terms of the historic preservation aspect, they're not original, and they're likely non-historic anyways, and you're already doing the right thing, saving the other ones and helping this house out. So thank you very much for that investment and work.
Thank you.
Could you findings of facts, please?
I think, yeah, Ken's already moved, and I've seconded his motion for approval.
We don't move on.
Shall we vote?
Oh, wait a minute.
You just said it.
Oh, excuse me.
We didn't do findings of fact, we gotta go through
We
findings
did
of
do
fact
findings of
first.
fact, we just have to go through and say if you agree or not.
We did, but then we all have to say.
Happy, do you agree?
I do not think it meets the guidelines. 18.1, retain or preserve historic windows. 18.2, maintain historic windows. 18.3, repair historic windows. There's really a lot in the guidelines about keeping the historic windows. But I'm really hearing what Chris said here. You're gonna keep your 4/4s in the back. You're coming up with a pretty nice replacement project. I think I can find my way to approve this one.
Yeah, and
And-
Happy, let me ease your mind further. So for additions to gain historic significance in their own right, they have to in some way add to or change the character of the house. So a minor addition will not, or just a few replacement windows, even if they're over 50 years old, don't necessarily contribute to the significance of the house.
So Ryan, do you feel okay? Positive about it?
I'm in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road. Jared, what do you think?
I think it meets the guidelines. I think you replacing these windows that they may be historic, but they're not original to the house. They're not even technically that old. They're older than I am, but that's about it. So no, I think it meets the guidelines. I think it's a great project, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jed?
I just happen to have a question. How many windows in the entire house are you replacing?
If I'm just doing the five total.
Okay, but then there's 4 in the back.
4 on the east side and 1 on the back that are the old 4/4s with
Right.
the wooden.
And those are the originals, right?
I think so. They look original. They're old as can be. I don't know.
Are they the same size as the windows up front?
I think 3 of the 4, let's see, yeah, 3 of the 4 are. There's a small one on the east side of the dining room area that's, it's also 4/4, but it's a little bit smaller, not much. The 3 of the 4 are probably the same size as the
What
other.
I'm thinking is, take the historic windows from the back, put them on the front, and then replace the windows in the back, which the public doesn't see. And then you have historic windows on a historic house, and,
I'll have to measure and see if that's,
I don't think we can ask him to do that if he's applying to replace 5 windows. We can't make him take other ones out of other parts of his house.
It's not easy to take windows out. and
no, it's not,
these
and they're
kind.
old as can be. They're probably in pieces
okay.
when they were assembled, I'm guessing, but I don't know.
All right, looks like we're about ready for a vote then. Do we hear a motion? Motion. Chris, possibly?
Based on the preceding findings of fact, I motion that the HDBR approve the application at 1063 West Main Street.
Do we hear a second?
I second that.
Could I have a vote, please?
Bill Joel,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Ryan Rogers,
Disapprove.
Jared Anderson,
I approve.
Jed Stillman.
Disapprove.
You have approved.
Thank you very much. Even the disapprovals, I appreciate your comments, and I'll take some of that to heart.
You pick paperwork up in the city and start when you have permits.
Thank you very much.
Let's go back here. Is Annette from 421 Mill Street, did she ever come? Let's keep going then. Looks to me like the next one and last one is Brenda Cooper at 307 West Street. we brought someone with you. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you guys for having us, and, my name is Brenda Cooper. This is the, building that we bought with the Mad Paddle.
Okay.
Daryl Trumpy is the contractor that is with us, so he can answer more of the questions than I can, so.
Go ahead.
This is a non-contributing structure built in 1950. It was originally for religious use, and it is now connected through the inside. It is zoned central business district, and they would like to remove the stucco on the outside to expose the brick underneath.
Go ahead.
This is the original, the historic picture.
So I can show you what we really want to do. So this is showing you here, it's got the stuff, oh, I'm sorry.
Can you, no, can you use that?
That's great.
Okay, I can point, I don't have to go over there. I'm just one of those people, handsy people, but we wanted to put the, what did you call that thing on top?
Parapet wall?
The kicker wall, whatever, on top where the sign's hanging off, whatever it is. We wanna put that back, and we'd like for it to be the old brick too. I put this up there, I pulled it off of IA, you know, everybody's using IA now. But this is new brick, we wanna use the old brick, and as you can see, we still have another door that needs to go on this side and another window that needs to go on that side. But that was just something I kinda pulled up so you could see, but it would be something similar to that, but it would be the old brick. And then it would have the carriage doors, as well, right, Daryl?
Yes. But can you go back to the previous picture? So you're saying you're gonna do that parapet with that sort of, step up in the middle, just like that?
Correct.
Not the cornice with the brickwork?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, so you're gonna maintain the door and the window on each side of the large door as well?
Yes.
Okay. So
The
really,
door-
you're just building back what's been taken away, the stucco,
We don't feel like that the integrity of the stucco is gonna be good enough, it's going to deteriorate again. And then when we pulled the stucco off, there's those bricks underneath there. So we feel like that was maybe before the stucco appeared. And so that's what we wanna go back to. It's just that taking the bricks or taking the stucco off is becoming quite the little job. So we wanna repair it with the new old bricks. Does that make sense?
yeah, so you would take the whole
Front off.
facade
Go
down
ahead.
and rebuild it.
Yeah, we will remove the brick as well and go ahead and use the 1800 brick. We found the 1800 brick in Louisville we'll get and go ahead and remove them brick, which is correct, and go ahead and brick it back with the 1800 brick like they did with the building across the street,
Okay.
the Mad Paddle.
You're Trumpy, you're the
Contractor.
Well, I've heard a lot about you. I know that you run borders and so forth, and you're an expert on this. A building that's been on fire and that hot has an issue with mortar anyways, right?
Correct.
So not only are you repairing it, you're probably giving it a much more safe, facade than what's there now because of the fire.
Yes, that and the stucco doesn't hold up for the climate changes as Indiana.
Yeah.
That's something for down south, not in this area.
Yeah.
It usually peels off in a matter of time.
That was basically my only question about it, hi Daryl. This is contemporary brick here, or let's say post 1930 wire cut brick. And so if you're already planning to replace it with 1800 brick, that's the way to go.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanna thank you guys for, investing in this property. You know, that street is really getting a lot of investment, so this will be great. And yeah, thank you.
Is this gonna be part of the Mad Paddle then?
No.
What's this gonna be?
It's gonna be storefronts.
Oh,
So,
retail.
yeah, exactly.
It used to be my favorite bar.
I heard that.
It's got many stories, doesn't it?
I've got a lot of stories too.
I've heard some myself.
All right, anyone else? Board? Is there anyone from the general public that would like to comment?
I'm back. Again, just to support their application, say thank you.
Hello, Mayor Bob.
Thank you guys so much. You're right that this West Street and Second Street, that is an important corridor for us, right off Main Street and Central Business District, and it's getting a tremendous amount of much needed investment. that whole corridor was very dilapidated and blighted, and without investors like Travis and Brenda and others bringing that area to life, it would still look pretty bad. And then also, I think today's Travis's birthday. So, he's a good birthday present, right? Thank you.
No pressure.
Anybody else from the general public? Brenna, have we received anything from the city?
I'm gonna do findings of fact.
Anybody else? Chris, findings of facts possibly?
Sure. I'll keep this short and sweet. I believe that this project meets the guidelines. My only concern is the slight difference in the materials submitted in regards to the parapet, but I don't think that that should preclude an approval. I'm so appreciative of Travis and Brenda's investment. I think this is gonna look fantastic when it's done. This is always gonna be a very challenging project because that stucco is failing, and with that group brick behind it, there's almost no way to repair it. There's almost no way to take it out without having to rebuild the facade, which is a significant project. And I'm so grateful that they're willing to undertake it and improve this building. So my findings of fact, short and sweet, it meets the guidelines.
Jed, what do you think?
I agree.
Ken?
I agree.
Jared?
I agree.
Brian?
I agree.
Happy?
I agree.
Oh, could we have a motion to approve?
I'll do it. Based on the preceding findings of the fact, I move that we approve the application at, Brennan, can you throw the address back up there?
Yep.
307 West Street.
Second.
I second.
Do we have a vote, please?
Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Happy Smith,
Approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams,
Approve.
Brian Rogers,
Approve.
Jared Anderson,
Approve.
Jed Skelman.
Approved.
Before we go any further, did Brenda ever come from 420, I'm sorry, Annette from 421? No? Think we'll have to put that off till next month?
That will end up automatically too.
Okay, we'll automatically go. Looks like that's everything. Do we have any new or old business? Anyone? Anyone?
Do you wanna do
Yeah,
your
I got
second
a
reading?
point. The layout of our worksheet here is way different than it was.
Do you mean the
Can
materials?
we go back to the way it was before?
We cannot,
Oh,
because we are changing the website, so it'll be a new system that we're using, and it will not support the individual, uploads the way the previous
so
agendas had been.
you're gonna scroll through and all that? Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Technology wins again.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Brenda, will you take up the second reading?
Yes, does anybody have that with them? I can grab it if not, but do you have yours? Do you wanna do the reading, or do you want me to?
I forget, Jared, do you remember the amendment that we asked for?
Well, it was in, wasn't there a second copy that staff had that?
There was an amendment that we did during the meeting
Yeah,
to, I believe it was to remove the,
it was just with verbiage of.
yeah, we changed how you worded it.
Okay, so my motion was the proceeding officer shall have the option to require speakers to sign in advance if they intend to speak during public comment, and/or impose a 4-minute time limit for any speaker. Either the presiding officer or the majority of present and voting board members may waive the 4-minute limit. And the amendment was not only waive the 4-minute limit, but waive the sign-in. That's what we added. That's what Jared added. Do you recall that?
Yes, and with further kinda looking into this, do we already have the ability to do this? Is this kind of a redundant addition to the ordinance?
I don't believe it's technically part of our ordinance, it is, it has been adopted by council,
Okay,
so that this should be mimicking what council does.
okay.
But we need this from our board. We can't copy, we just can't rely on.
Right,
our
we
copy.
would have to update our own
Okay,
for that.
yeah, so that's a second reading.
So I have a question about it. So say we have a normal meeting like this where there's really nobody from the public speaking and we don't wanna have a chilling kind of thing. What's the default mode? Is the default mode anybody can speak, everybody's welcome, or is the default mode we have the rule in place and we have to waive it for tonight?
So my intent is, when we have full chairs and we have an emotional, we get home before midnight. So in a time, a meeting like this, it wouldn't come up.
So it doesn't have to be waived for tonight's meeting.
No.
It is automatically waived and then it's just invoked should there come a meeting that it's needed.
Now, do you want words added to that? That's easy to add, I think, that this is a special use.
So we're not gonna have something every meeting that says,
We
okay,
need
we're waiving
counsel.
this thing.
Yeah.
We need counsel
I'm
here.
happy to weigh in. So I think it says may, this is just making it very explicit in our ordinance that we can do this. I personally believe that we already have all the empowerment we need to run a reasonable meeting and to reasonably limit public comment. That's kind of just a general baseline for public meetings, to be able to control your own meeting. But I do think that it's a good matter for public communication and for transparency to have this as a part of our ordinance so everyone knows to expect this as a possibility.
So I believe that it's, I haven't any idea that this is true, but I believe that we need this because we had a board that got slapped around because they didn't have this as on their procedures. And so I think we need to have this for our board.
Is it concerning at all that we're, looking, hoping, praying that someday we might get an application that we need to use this when
Yes, I think,
technically this year we've only had one public speaker coming in front of us? I mean, it just seems a little,
This is a matter of just thinking ahead, and if it's on the books and it's optional, put it in there, and then we don't have to worry about it when we need it. That's my view.
I guess my one concern is that it almost appears as though we know more than what we really do. That we see things coming down the pike that may or may not come to us.
it's coming.
I also think, and I've got a lot of thoughts about this, our meetings run long sometimes, and it is never because of the public. It is because of us sitting up here.
Stop talking.
I really try to keep it brief, and I think I do. I think before I can support this amendment, I would really recommend that we as a board look inward and stop taking so long to deal with things that shouldn't take this long. I think we are our own worst enemies, and it's not the public that we are concerned about. That's
Jared,
just my opinion.
That's phenomenally wise counsel. Thank you for sharing that.
It's phenomenally unrecognizing what's coming down the pike. We need this on the books.
I want to comment that the time we take to discuss any issue, whether it's windows or doors or front-loading garages, we generally improve what happens. We generally improve the result. And ideas pop up in our discussion that, oh, I never thought of that, or, anybody here will say something, and always enjoy listening to the viewpoint of my colleagues on this board. I don't wanna put a lid on it, as long as you're saying extraneous talk is talking about the Colts, or where you went for dinner last night, or something like that.
Yeah, no, while I do understand that, I still think we as the board can do better. I think that even just last meeting, I think it ran over about 30 minutes than what it should have. And not because of the public or any public comment or anything that anyone did but us.
I'd like to agree with both of you. Because I think that it's very wise counsel for us to look inward as we contemplate any limitations on public participation. But I also agree with Jed that I highly value a lot of our discussions, and I do think that our comments and discussions very often do make projects better. I think though that there are times when we all know that there's unanimous consent to approve something, and maybe we can just get someone out of there, because there's plenty of genuine disagreements and things that we do need to discuss where there are differences of opinion on the board. And that's where I think that maybe we could expedite some of these meetings a little faster without sacrificing any of the valuable input and conversations that we have that do impact projects.
I'll just mention, as an example, last meeting, I can't remember the address, it's on Main Street, the little narrow pink building with the dilapidated windows in the we talked about that, we ate up a lot of time talking about it, but we came away with wooden windows and restoration rather than vinyl or aluminum clad there on Main Street. So that was the result of all of us engaging in this.
Yes, and I certainly see value in that. I also think the board needs to take note that we are not to redesign, properties when they come before us. That is for staff to do. And it is supposed to come to us and we are supposed to look at it and say, yes, this works, no, it doesn't. We are not the legwork here, Brenna is, and the staff of the city is perfectly capable of doing that, so.
And Brenna's not redesigning projects ever, she's just providing advice to applicants, okay?
To add to
So,
what
Mr.
you
Chair,
said,
I move my motion.
Hold on.
I was gonna say, to add to what some of the comments have been, the board also has to consider whatever's presented to them, and sometimes it's not enough information or not clear information. So a lot of the conversations revolve around trying to get it into compliance, not trying to get it out of compliance. So communication between staff and the board would also help out as well. And keeping down some of the content that has less to do with the actual guidelines and ordinance.
Ken,
Mr. Chair, I move my motion be approved.
Second.
do we, your vote?
Hold on 1 second. Bill Jewell,
I approve.
Abby Smith,
I think sometimes this board asks very hard things of the citizens of Madison, and they're very forbearing, and I don't think we wanna give any impression that we don't wanna hear everything that citizens who come to this meeting might wanna say, so I do not approve.
Chris Cody,
Approve.
Ken McWilliams.
Approved.
Ryan Rogers,
Approved.
Jared Anderson,
Do not approve.
Jed Scone.
Approved.
All right. Is there any other new business? Anyone at all? Is there anyone from the general public that would like to speak that hadn't had a chance to speak? Any communications to the city? Before we adjourn, I want to note that our next meeting,
She gets to talk.
Staff review.
I got a little carried away.
go ahead.
That's okay. This month, it was fairly slow. I only had one that will not be coming before you, that has been submitted this month. And that was for a roof, and they are switching from shingles to standing seam vinyl.
Nice.
And then for our annual review, we only had 2. November is a slow month. One is complete, so that's the sign on Main Street, and then Stephanie Reed is in progress for her windows.
Anything else? Our next meeting will be December the 16th. It's an early one next month. Are we ready to adjourn? Is everyone ready? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Did you mean the
Go home.
16th or the 15th? 16th is a Tuesday.
It's the 15th.
It's the 15th, okay. Get this on the calendar, not my wife.
The calendar has so many holes in it.
Oh man, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist.
It's not on my calendar. We'll have good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Chris, can you hang out for just a second?
Sure.
I've got one for you to look at.
Sure. Great work,